DJM TV.
Welcome to DJM TV News Update for the week. I am Umaru Latifa. And if you're watching us for the first time, please subscribe to our YouTube channel at DJM TV and also click on the notification bell for more superb videos.
DJM TV. DJM TV.
My dear good people of Edo State, as you are already aware, the Edo State Governorship election will take place on Saturday, September 19th. I am sure that you are also aware that I am seeking re-election as governor under the People's Democratic Party, PDP. I have just finished my campaigns, which took me through every local government in Edo State. The word-to-word campaigns offered me the opportunity to meet with thousands of people, including farmers, teachers, traders, pensioners, public servants, and every other actor in the different spheres of life in Edo State. Undoubtedly, the 2020 governorship elections will be a watershed in the democratization process in our dear state and Nigeria at large. I assure you that at the end of this exercise, we will all be proud to be part of this history-making event. My campaign across the 192 wards in the state offered me the opportunity to show the achievements recorded by my administration, including the over 2,000 projects that dot the nooks and crannies of our state. My party and I have ensured that my people-centered approach to politics, which is driven by a commitment to work for our people at the bottom of society, is fostering development and more participation in our politics. From the hills of Kukuruku to the rice farms of Ilushi, through the maize fields in Sobe, to the lush forests in Urohi, Ojoba, and the forests and waters of Ovia River, we have met with leaders of our traditional institutions, conversed with traders, journeyed with transporters, and met with pensioners and public servants who appreciate the work that we have done in the last 4 years. Since November 2016, we have made giant strides in rewriting the development narrative of our dear state. We have revamped our primary healthcare system through deep-rooted reforms. We have transformed our basic education to be more responsive to the needs of the 21st century by training our teachers and introducing technology to our schools. We have rebuilt critical physical and digital infrastructure across the state. We have strengthened our security architecture and enacted civil service and pension reforms for better productivity and sustainability, and have created thousands of opportunities for young people to be employed and empowered. Some of our other reforms have included energy projects such as the 55 megawatts Oshiomhonle Independent Power Plant, IPP, which is already completed and ready for commissioning, and the 6,000 barrels per day Edo Modular Refinery. We have also made investments in real estate such as Emota Gardens, which first phase has been completed. With the critical physical and social infrastructure which we have started building, we have now laid the foundation for the next 4 years and the future. As we enter a post-COVID world in the next 4 years, we will be focusing on our programs to make Edo great again. Under our Making Edo Great Again mega manifesto, we will emphasize deeper governance reforms, including rebuilding the public service and emplacing a citizen-centric leadership through which we will continue to transform our social services and infrastructure. We will reposition government as an enabler to consolidate and enhance our signature projects, such as Edo Jobs, creative and innovative hubs, and industrialization projects. The future will be driven by technology and data, and Edo State will be repositioned to participate in the fourth industrial revolution. Part of our plan to develop large local sustainable economy will include accelerating our current initiatives in human capacity development, agribusiness, energy, and mining. Our legacy will be to leave for future administrations a 30-year regional, urban, social, and economic master plan based on which Edo will regain its greatness. We are very optimistic that Edo will be able to take advantage of the post-coronavirus world economy to achieve more in the second term than we did during our first term. I implore all of you to come out and re-elect me and my deputy, Philip Shoaibu, by voting massively for our party, the People's Democratic Party, on September 19th. We are trusting God Almighty that the election will be violence-free because of the preparations which has been made by security agencies and the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. I thank you, and God bless Edo State and bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
DJM TV. DJM TV.
My great people of Edo State, on Saturday, all of us will be expected to come out and perform a very, very important duty to elect a governor that will superintend and govern our state over the next 4 years. For me, and I ask you to accept, and for all of us, Saturday the 19th of September is another edition of our Democracy Day. In this state, we have established, at least while I was a governor for 8 years, a tradition of one man, one vote. We spend a lot of time and energy and resources to promote that campaign. Because as you will all recall, before then, election in Edo State was for survival of the fittest. Under my stewardship as your governor, I persuaded all of us, and we all agree, that we can make the vote count without violence. And so, beginning with my election in 2012, for which I am eternally grateful to the people of Edo State, as you will remember, I won in all the 18 local government areas, scoring a total vote of about 74.6% of the total vote cast. Nobody was shot, nobody was hospitalized. We celebrated it. In 2016, we worked hard as well. Again, I was the governor, created an enabling environment to ensure that what matters is the PVC and the ballot papers. And again, we had a peaceful election. Notwithstanding all the speculations and anxiety, I ask you to have faith that this Saturday, the 19th of September, will be another celebration of democracy, which enable the people to show that they and they alone can confer power on anyone they so favored, other the guardians of God, our Creator. So I ask you to resist any temptation, resist any inducement, resist any of those things that will change the narrative of Edo as a democratic state whose citizens are used to voting and ensuring that the vote counts. Nothing has changed. We are still the same people. The same Edo people that voted peacefully in 2012, the same Edo people that voted peacefully in 2016. I believe you are still the same, and you will vote peacefully on Saturday, the 19th of September. What is important in all of this is the process. We must have faith in the process, that it will be transparent, it will be free, and it will be fair. But the precondition for free, fair, and credible election is that no one should be afraid to step out to vote. I expect, and I'm convinced, that the security agencies will do everything possible to guarantee and ensure that the right of our people to vote is not undermined by any of the contestants or any of the political parties. The interest of our state is greater than the interest of any particular political party. Governments will come and go. Governors will come and go. The people of Edo State will remain. And therefore, it does not matter what happens. We need to ensure that we conduct ourselves peacefully. I urge you to please do all of us proud, as perhaps the only state in the South-South geopolitical zone in which we have established a tradition of one man, one vote without violence. We want to celebrate the power of the people. We don't want to celebrate the barrel of the gun. We want to celebrate the ballot paper. We don't want to celebrate bullets. We want to celebrate people clapping and dancing because they have voted according to their will. We don't want people to be mourning because they've lost a loved one. That is not part of our tradition. That is not in our culture. As Oba has said, no matter what you think, the office will come and go. I was a governor for 8 years, and I had a credible record of voter support. Today, I am no more a governor. So it shall be with even the one that will be elected on Saturday, which I pray will be a candidate of my own political party. But we want that process to be so transparent that the legitimacy of the outcome will not be in question. Why do I urge you to vote for Pastor Osagi Izeyamo, the candidate of the APC, and therefore vote for APC in Edo State? For me, it is simple. Around this time, 4 years ago, I did appeal to you, along with other members of my party, to canvass for vote for the current governor on the basis of continuity of certain specific projects and programs which we believe over time, if sustained, will transform Edo in some fundamental ways. We made huge progress in terms of urban renewal. We made incredible progress in terms of deflooding Edo State, Benin City in particular, with particular reference to the Benin City Water Storm Master Plan. You will not forget in a hurry what we did at Winede Erosion Site, Ivo Okenwa Road, and several other locations. How we are able to chase away the Mami water around the teacher's house to enable us construct a standard 6-lane road. And in the process, we established a specific standard for urban roads, namely that the city life should not terminate at 6 p.m. So we constructed roads with sidewalks, with street lights, and traffic lights. This is what we see when we travel around the world. Cities are built by men of incredible dreams and even bigger courage to translate those dreams. We built a 5-star hospital. And as we have seen, even when there was no coronavirus then, we realized that it's not everyone or woman of our countrymen that can afford to fly out of the country. Because even those who have such resources to fly out of the country, when there is an emergency, before the arrival of the ambulance, those who are under emergency condition, before evacuation, they could give up. So we cannot overemphasize the need for functional, standard healthcare facilities. That is what informed the design of the Central Hospital and the choice of equipment from a reputable Austrian environment to ensure that state-of-the-art equipment were installed. It hurts me as the steward, under whose stewardship we collected taxes from Edo people to build that hospital. And today, that hospital is only open to those who can afford to pay a consultant $5,000 before they find out what his problems are. And those who cannot afford it, they are asked to go to the hospital that was built in 1903, which we all concluded was no longer habitable, it was no longer suitable as a model hospital. Those of you who live in Benin City, in Ekpoma, in Auchi, and other places where we store street light, I don't need now to remind you that the street lights are off. Even the generator with which we were powering those street lights, the generators have been taken away by the current government. I can tell you for free that the total cost of powering those street lights at night was on average between 26 and 30 million naira a month. And for me, that was worth it. It was always a thing of joy for me when I walk around Akpakpava Street, Sakwoba Street, Oba Market Road, Siloko Road, Upper Siloko Road, almost up to Channel 55, on Airport Road, and on Sapele Road at 10 p.m., and I see life, I see beer parlors, I see Mama Put, all selling something by the roadside, even when there is no light in their residences. This was the great promise of continuity, that we would build more such roads. The last road I did before I left was Second Circular Road. We transformed a place that was completely inaccessible to dual carriageway, complete with side drains and sidewalks. Because this is the Edo resources that have to be used for the good of Edo people. There's a writer who argued that only a rich man settle for substandard products because he can afford to be replacing it every day. When you do not have resources, as is the case in Edo, you want to ensure that every 1 kilometer of road you've done is a kilometer of road that will last for between 25 and 30 years with minimum maintenance. All of these have disappeared. The outgoing governor has not, by the special grace of God and your votes, the outgoing governor has not constructed one single road with those key features. The Benin City water storm has been completely abandoned. Our dream to have teachers who have minimum degree of Bachelor of Education by upgrading Kiadolo College of Education to university status, which we renamed Tayo Akpata University, that has been aborted by the current government. And today, since I left office, no new teacher has been employed. The result is that going around the state and I invite any Edo person who has a child in public school to simply find out how many teachers are in their school. You're not going to be carried away by sponsored advertorials or even international consultant that tells us what does not exist. You are the real people. We call it IMAC. If you haven't seen it, don't believe it. We built a residence for College of Nursery and Midwives. This current governor has closed that school at a time when the whole world, I emphasize the whole world, tried to train, and we need more nurses, even before coronavirus. And a lot of our daughters and sons who are overseas, working in hospitals as nurses, I'm sure they do handsome remittance home. Nurses can't be unemployed if they are properly trained. And so to close that school of nursing is a huge setback to our attempt to ensure that we not only have beautiful buildings as hospitals, but they are manned by men and women who are well trained. At the time when our doctors are migrating, it is unacceptable that the state government has not thought it fit to employ more doctors. And the hospital we now have is now being managed by people who are not doctors, called consultants, and they are paid 65 million every month for consultancy for a facility that is not open to the ordinary man. I mean, I could go on and on and on. I was in Nwode during the campaign, and I found that the only road in Nwode was the one I constructed to link Nwode to Uguniki and to Edo Central. The only road constructed in Orion was the one I constructed that covered more than 200 communities, terminating, passing through Oronigbe to Rumehi and other communities. In Igbanke, I was shocked to find that of all the streets in Igbanke, I constructed about 8 streets there. The only portion that was not done was about 2.1 kilometer road, which my successor promised to do at the end of my tenure. To our collective embarrassment as a people, it is now a fact that it's Governor Okowa of Delta State who has to send graders to grade the road, the portion that was not done before I left office, just to make it motorable. But of course, when it rains, graded roads, add little or no value. And that is an area in which we have boundary dispute. So if our people feel that they are getting services from a neighboring state rather than their own state, the implication for that should be obvious to all of us. In the rest of the state, the story is the same. A traditional ruler lamented before us that he has 2.5 teachers in the only secondary school, public secondary school in the village. They do not have the opportunity of a private school alternative. And he said, so parents think that their children are going to school, but only to go and while away 8 hours or 6 hours without teachers in the school. Everywhere we go, the story is the same. We visited Ilushi, the people complained they've had no light for 4 years. And the governor admitted that they have had no light for 4 years. But that if he's re-elected, in 3 months he will fix the light. And the question the people put to him, and which can be put to any sensible person is, so if you could fix light for 3 months, how come you didn't fix it in 4 years? That the governor did not discover there are no roads across the 192 wards until he went for his re-election campaign. So what was he doing for all of 4 years? He thought that where he didn't construct a road, that the road would be constructed by magic. He also said, he also discovered that there are no lights. So if there was no election, he would know that 80 or 90% of Edo people are in the dark. It shows the degree of neglect and indeed of contempt for our people. Now, talking about building on legacy, I think for me, the most key important one is the issue of education, restoring integrity to public schools. Because Edo people won't forget in a hurry that virtually all the public schools in Edo, whether they were primary schools or secondary schools, they were all completely run down. To the extent that when it is raining, our children are running from one corner of the classroom to the other. Teachers will carry their plastic chairs from their homes to school. We saw children sitting on the floor, some on broken bricks. And we decided that we will not only build new schools, we will build new standard schools, which became known as the Red Roof Revolution. Of course, there is hardly any village in this great state where you don't have a primary school, and in many cases, both primary school and secondary school. Governor Obaseki has drawn on UBEC funds because the cost of building primary schools are subsidized by federal government to the tune of 50%. And rather than build new schools, Governor Obaseki was doing makeshift repainting or redecoration of few schools. And so, even in the heart of Benin City and across the 192 wards, we have schools today that nobody can afford to send a child to those schools. So the promise to continue to build new schools was betrayed by Obaseki. The promise to build health centers across the state was betrayed by Obaseki. I watched his interview, the debate, where he alleged that I borrowed money, quote, recklessly. What is the truth? The truth is, Obaseki advised me then that it was better to take a 7-year bond because the interest rate was much lower than the commercial rates in banks. And we took a bond of 25 billion naira. But it was structured over a period of several years. And this was liquidated in full by December 2016. And I left office in November 2016. Number two, the World Bank facility that was approved to support our budget, I only collected 2 tranches were due to Edo State government before I left. And this was announced transparently. Governor Obaseki collected the remaining, the 3rd tranche of $75 million after the devaluation of the Naira. And all of that accrued to his tenure, in addition to the several loans he has contracted. Number 2, Edo State on record, and this can be verified by DMO. The bank loan we had before I left office, which the government decided to convert to federal government bonds, Edo was the least. So if, as I read, Edo State is now indebted to the tune of 190 billion, a lot of that, more than 2/3 of that, was borrowed under Obaseki. But perhaps the issue is not the fact of the borrowing. The issue is what is on ground that he has used the borrowed money to do. I was happy that he admitted to collecting 5.6 billion for agriculture. How many Edo men and women benefited from that 5 billion naira, which was meant to support farmers in our state, and which Obaseki borrowed on behalf and in the name of Edo farmers? On record, Governor Obaseki said, when he was asked about the 2 billion he borrowed from CBN for Sobe Farm, he said he could have spent up to 2 billion for about 400 hectares of land. But the question is, if it wasn't 2 billion, what stopped Governor Obaseki from disclosing the actual amount and what he did with the rest of the money? Because the fact that he took 2 billion from CBN is not in dispute. Now, if, as he said during the debate, he didn't spend all of that on Sobe Farm, what did he do with the balance? The second is the huge sums, 69 billion for oil palm. Who are the beneficiaries of this loan, which is contracted in the name of Edo State government? As I said, it is not the fact of the borrowing alone. That itself is a problem. But when you borrow to channel through consultancies and all manners of vehicles, which in the end, the people can't find anything on ground, then the issue of our children and grandchildren coming to pay loan that we use for purposes that we can't verify, then become an issue. And at a point, the state is headed towards total liquidation. I think for this and several other reasons. Number 2, I was shocked that Obaseki is advertising the schools I built as governor. Is using them is advertising them as if he built them. In the course of the campaign, some local community people told me that at this way in Edo North, where Obaseki came at night to commission a project that a government secondary school, federal government secondary school, that is being built by federal government, not yet commissioned, not yet completed. He went at night to commission it. So everything and a lot of the transactions that has occurred under Obaseki are such that Edo State people haven't gotten value for money. I have no doubt whatsoever in my mind that a governor that recruits over 200,000 SCs, SSCs, 1.5 months to the end of his tenure, panically now giving appointment letters, that cannot be a governor we can trust. A governor who says he has created 157,000 jobs. Those figures are not adding up. In another publication, he said it's 157,000. It is not beyond the competence of government to say, in agriculture, these are the number of jobs, and these are the location. And if you imagine that Edo has 18 local government areas, and you've created 157,000 jobs, then obviously every local government ought to have young people of about 8,000 now in gainful employment. That is precisely how not to lie with statistics. So I want our people, as we have said, and it bears repeating, don't believe it if you haven't seen it. That is why we talk about I mark. This is the moment for I mark. If you have not marked it, don't trust it. We want a government that will return us to what we can see, not find papers prepared by all kinds of consultants who carry away incredible amount of money in the name of consultancy. I have watched a couple of times, to my surprise, the PDP and Obaseki try to divert attention away from the issues. They are not addressing Pastor Sagi Ize-Iyamu. They are not questioning his competence, nor are they questioning his suitability. They are arguing that the election is between Obaseki and myself. But I'm not on the ballot, and I can never be on the governorship ballot again for the rest of my life. But if they insist that the election is between Obaseki and myself, then I want the Edo people to compare Obaseki's record in office with my record while I was in office. And if they do, as I believe they can do, and they will do objectively, Obaseki still does not deserve re-election because he has nothing to show for his first time. As much as Obaseki has tried to destroy my legacy through negative propaganda and outright falsehood, using social media and using his hired writers, the truth is, what Edo people have seen that I did, they cannot wash it away. They can't wash it away. And I want Edo people to ask themselves, let them play back both the opening, the flag off of PDP campaign, and their closing so-called mega rally campaign, and ask themselves, what special message did they give Edo people? They never say, and I never heard them say, oh, vote because in the first term, Obaseki constructed this road. In the first term, Obaseki built this number of schools. In the first term, Obaseki employed this number of teachers. In the first term, Obaseki employed this number of nurses. He employed this number of doctors. He gave credit to small-scale farmers. He gave credit to small-scale traders. He gave some kind of empowerment to youths. I didn't hear any of that. All we hear is, oh, this election between me and Oshiomhonle. That is just a clear diversion. But my commitment to the people of Edo State remains unshaken. I have been favored by the people of this great state when they voted for me twice in the manner that they did. And when, because I supported Obaseki, many of them also voted for him. I have a duty. I am forever indebted to the people of this great state for that rare honor that have been given. And I will never support anything that I know will work well. Obaseki was a mistake. I don't hesitate to admit it, because the promise of continuity for the good of Edo State has been betrayed. That is the great betrayer. Nothing personal, and there cannot be anything personal. It's about our state. It's about our collective future. It's about our children and great-grandchildren and children yet unborn. I trust that God, in His infinite mercy, will guide you aright as you vote wisely for a change of government. Vote for
DJM TV. DJM TV.
For the purpose of emphasis, you are all to be guided by the following on the election day. 1. No one is allowed to wear any cloth, emblem, or color signifying any political party to the polling unit. 2. No person is allowed to move around with security personnel around the polling unit. 3. Everyone is enjoined to vote and return to their respective houses or remain peacefully within the approved parameters of the polling centers. 4. No one is allowed to move about from one polling unit to another, and there shall be restriction of movement on the day of the elections. 5. Only INEC accredited election monitors, observers are allowed to move around for the purpose of the election monitoring, and they must all wear their INEC accreditation tags. 6. Only accredited journalists are allowed to cover the elections. All such journalists must carry their accreditation tags. 7. Praise singing, drumming, and dancing around the vicinity of the polling unit are not allowed. 8. Vehicles branded in any political party color or emblem are not allowed to be deployed on any election assignment. 9. Selling of alcohol, beverages around the polling booth and collection centers is totally banned.
DJM TV.
For the first time, please subscribe to our YouTube channel at DJM TV, and also do not forget to click on the notification bell for more superb videos. I am Latifa.
DJM TV.